So we're here with Sue Bennett.
I'm a 7.
You're a 7.
Yes.
And the words associated, the names associated with the 7 are?
Well, there's an epicure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we lean towards the positive side of situations. We're all about what's exciting, what's new, what's going to happen in the future. The past doesn't matter anymore. It's about where we're going.
So, future-oriented, lots of possibilities,
Very much so.
all positive.
To a fault sometimes is what I'm learning, with the Enneagram, is that my tendency is to focus on what's positive, where I tend to ignore some of the negative sides. That's the reality. And unfortunately, I'm so focused on what it could be and how exciting it can be and what we can do with this, is that you somewhat bypass some of the issues that inevitably come up. Right. So it's got that side where unfortunately you're not so aware necessarily. You're kind of so centered in what you're dealing with that you're not as aware as to what's going on.
Right. The negative things that may be going on around you.
Correct. It certainly is just a fun experience, because you tend to want to get in on things at the beginning. You love coming up with ideas and thinking about what's a new way to do something, and then moving with that, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it really is. I love coming to work and getting excited about getting into something that's new. Then there's the other side. If I come to work and it's the same boring old thing, and then it's a totally different atmosphere. But yeah, I really enjoy the excitement getting involved.
So what happens when you come to work and it is a totally different atmosphere? What's that atmosphere like?
Oh, it can play itself out in many different ways. But if it's something that's not going to be fun, it's not something that's new, it's probably a report I had to get done, or something, I get bored super easily. And what's frustrating about that is then I'm in the situation where I can't get myself out of that, where I'm just, and I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it, and it's actually painful. It's very painful for a 7 to stay in the moment and to try and get what you're focusing on done without going somewhere else.
Mentally going somewhere else, because there's a lot of mental activity, right, in this.
Oh, absolutely. We're in our head a lot about the possibilities.
Right.
And there are so many possibilities of how things can go and where they can go that you could never even get done.
But yet a little bit more of a challenge to do the steps it takes to create the possibilities.
Correct.
To really stay with it. Yes.
The ideas are great.
Yes.
They're endless.
Yes.
Right.
The first implementation, the beginning part,
Right.
very fun, getting it started, getting it rolling, excellent. Seeing it through to the very end, much more difficult. So I believe that that's something that a 7 can truly bring to a company, is that just that big picture, being able to stand back and say, what is going on here, versus focusing on the details, because we don't focus in on the details.
So if you were giving advice to a young 7 coming into the organization and perhaps first learning about their style, what advice would you give them?
It's interesting. When I first learned about my style, I was all excited about it, because I was like, this is great. That's all the good stuff. Until Marianne helped me realize just all the bad stuff about the 7. No, I'm kidding. No, Marianne was very helpful in terms of helping me to understand, blind spots. And I think that's probably what I would tell a 7 who's a self-proclaimed 7 coming into the company. I would say, it's great. I would definitely focus on the strengths, how important the strengths are. I would say there's some blind spots that you should be aware of. There's a lot of things that I find challenging that I'm trying to work through, and here's how I got through those things, or here's the steps I took.
Right.
That's what I would do.
So what are 1 or 2 of those blind spots that you've discovered about yourself?
I used to get so frustrated with why I love to start something, and then I got to move on. I got to go somewhere else. I got to go do something else. I used to get so frustrated with myself and say, what's my deal? Why am I so challenged by this? And then I realized that I'm not. I want to get out of this moment. I want to jump myself out, and I want to go to something else. I don't want to stay in what I'm doing. And now because I'm aware of it, I think awareness in and of itself is such a positive thing. Now that I'm aware of it, I can go and take a look at the issue and say, okay, you know what? You've got to focus on this. You've got to get it done. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's are the steps that we're going to take. Just do a little bit. It is very much a time management thing.
Stay with it.
Stay with it, right. It can be painful.
Complete it.
Correct. And then focus on what works for me is to focus on what does that look like when this is done.
So when you complete it, what's the payoff?
I can go do something else. I can go try something else. I can go focus on something else. I can come up with an idea about something else, get something else started. I mean,
Is there any satisfaction in actually seeing it complete?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think sevens tend to never see things come. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it's hard to go through the entire thing and finish it to the last, part until you actually produce the piece. And because it's so difficult when you are done and you do finish it, you need to stop and take a break and say, look what I've done. Look at all it took to get to this position instead of just jumping
Right.
to the next thing.